All right, we're live.
Praise God. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
All
you.
right. Praise God. Hallelujah. Yeah.
Amen.
All right. Let's get your go ahead and get your stuff started. Do your thing.
All right, well, welcome everybody. We are tuned in, or you are tuned in to God's Gift through His Word. And today I have my amazing guest with me, friend, confidant, all those things, Pastor Jay, and we're going to talk about some things. Hey, Pastor Jay, what's going on?
Well, there's a lot going on. We're trying to figure out this is StreamYard, but we'll get it figured out. But we're on the air now. It's good to hear you and good to be on the air right now because, like you said, we just want to talk about a few things as we do. Some of you might listen to this and it'll be Monday morning conversation for you. But guess what? Those who are listening right now to us live, you get it first and fresh. And please comment, and let us know. We're going to talk kind of straight up and it may be raw at times. We just want you to think a little bit. Uh, Robbie Zacharias used to say, I want to get saved people thinking and thinking people saved. So we want you to use your brain a little bit today. You want to lose your thought processes, your background, or where you come from and how you were raised. And, make some logical, some well thought out decisions for yourself. So we'll get started. You'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, T, what we talking about?
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about having some different views. And as you and I have been watching, I don't know, I don't want to call it a circus, but we've been watching the disagreements from people that have good, well working brains. We have Candace Owens and we have Roland Martin, but for some reason, there is this disconnect about having different viewpoints. So, what do you think about that so far as we've been hearing all the different kind of chatter out there online?
Well, again, uh, I think it's all by design and in for different reasons. We have to understand that where there's division, there's money to be made. And as long
Mm-hmm.
as there's division, there's opportunity for someone to advance their ideas or ideologies. And the friction invites people to come in, just everyday people to come in and choose sides. And what I'm trying to point out is we need to stop choosing sides and listen to both sides and eat the meat and spit out the bones. It's not Candace Owens against Roland Martin. These are both African American people. And when I heard him really giving her slanderous names, how is that different than an enemy, which we would call Caucasian people, slandering us in those ways? When we do it to ourselves, then how do we expect anybody else to respect who we are? And to me, when a man does that to a woman, just because she is who she is and she can articulate her viewpoint, I think that's wrong. But there's money in confusion. You have to remember a lot of these people that you think are your leaders, they've been propped up to keep the confusion going, and they get paid for this. Because if there was solidarity and unity and love and peace, they wouldn't have no job. The whole capitalistic system is set up for friction and adversarial relationships. You have the have and the have nots. You have the smart and the not so educated. You have all these different classifications that cause disunity, but there's money in that friction. There's money in it. But to see someone who is intelligent as Roland Martin, who's intelligent as Candace Owens, and more so for his end going at her, there's no need for that. There's no need to call her names. There's no need to belittle her. There's no need for that. It's no need for that. No matter how you feel, I just think a man's role, and maybe archaic in thinking, that is not what we do. How's that helping you? She's on the public scene, you on the public scene. And I agree with a lot of her thoughts, and I agree with a lot of your thoughts. But why do we have to pick sides? Why are you making the people pick sides? So if I'm for Roland Martin, I'm against Candace. If I'm for some things Candace say, what, I'm a handkerchief head Negro? Come on, now we got to stop this.
Mm-hmm.
We should be able to have multi. See, the problem with our thought process. we are been hemmed in all into one section. And for right now, that's called the Democratic Party. We are hemmed into it. We are locked into it, and they can do what they want to do to us. And there's nothing that we can do about it because we don't vote. We vote out of our feelings and our loyalty and things that really don't make a difference. When you hear people say, I did better economically under the Trump situation, anybody that's in business will tell you they did. Anybody in business will tell you they did better under Trump. Now, Trump's social policies, you don't have to agree with, but his economic policies were good. His economic policy was good. And haven't you ever noticed that there's always crises around election time that one or the other party play into to get your vote? They play into that to get your vote. You guys, you don't remember because you don't know. Joe Biden and Trump, they're from the same era, and they're two rich guys. And it's like that Three Stooges short where the two rich guys argued about who can make the Three Stooges gentlemen, and they waged against each other. But at the end, they were still each other's friend because Three Stooges didn't change. But the wager was only $1. They didn't really lose anything. And I think that's what happens with us. We are pitted against each other, and somebody else wins the coins, and we're no better off as a people because we don't leave room for thinkers of other than one-track minds. And that's how we get bamboozled every time. That's how we get bamboozled every time. Some of these leaders are put there by our open enemy to keep us in control, to not let us think outside the box, to not consider other alternatives. And we have to start picking our leaders from the ground up and not from the top down. We really do, saints of God, and people in general, they are playing us, both parties. These are two rich dudes that's going to be rich no matter who wins. And it behooves the system for one party to win and the other party to lose. And they talk about it again. Liberal radio talks about it when the conservative gets in office, and then they start making money. And then when the liberal gets in office, now the conservative news stations talk about them, and that helps them too. The friction and division fuels the whole economic system in America. They don't want the disparity to end because there's money in those who telling you we need more tax dollars to handle the disparity, but the tax dollars are being used to create the disparity even the more. The gap is widening, but social programs are spending is out of control. Why? Because we've been taught, or some been taught, it's better to get money from the government. And Candace Owens is right. Government is not a business. They get their money from taxpayers. And if you think about it, if the taxpayers are not making any money and everybody's getting a handout, then who's going to pay? You can't get enough rich people in this world to pay their fair share. The system is set up for businesses and those who create business not to pay a large sum of taxes so they can create more business. And if they go to other countries, then you want to penalize them. But remember this, they will never do anything to hurt themselves for real. If I'm a billionaire and you tell me I need to pay more taxes, that's fine. Trump told you the truth. If you want him to pay more taxes, change the laws. But you didn't hear that. But all the billionaires that you look up to that are liberal, they don't pay the taxes either. And you fall for this every year, every election cycle. You fall to this pandering. And like I say, for Candace Owens to be who she is and to put her down, like I heard him say, man, that's foul. All I can say is that's foul. That was foul. That was uncalled for. You know, for her to be called Uncle Tom, and those who read Uncle Tom's Cat, that book, Uncle Tom is the hero. So, you know, I just wish we stop all this because we never will find unity in a capitalism system because capitalism is based upon there's somebody that's going to grow off the backs of another. Okay, so that's just the way the system works. It's not going to change, and it's not a color thing. It's a money thing. So what you think, T?
Well, as you and I always discuss these kind of things, it does make me wonder because when I was watching the same thing you were watching, I was like, these are people that are well read. These are people that are very articulate. These are people that you wonder when someone that has a PhD says you're a nitwit. Well, I'm sure that you would want someone to articulate how they have these certain views so you could say, well, that view is not correct, or at least want to sit down and have a discussion. But to say someone's not coming to the cookout because they don't agree with your train of thinking, if everybody agrees with everybody, what kind of world are we living in? There's many people that don't agree, and we are okay to have different views. Don't you want someone that's thinking for themselves and not following after every single thing? Yeah, I don't agree with everything that everybody says. I don't agree with everything Roland Martin says, nor Candace. But that doesn't mean I'm going to call them names like, oh my gosh, Roland, you said that you're such an idiot. Like, that doesn't make good sense. And we want people to share their views. First of all, you need to know so you know where they're coming from. You might be able to sit down and have a discussion so you can understand how they arrived to that personal thought, why they take that view. But for you to call them names because you just dislike what they're talking about and their opinion is not right because your opinion is the only one that matters, that's not cool and that's not wise. That's not helping anybody. How can someone have a critical thinking mind when you just want everybody to just think how you think? That's not going to help. That's not very diverse in thinking if everybody thinks the same way. We don't want group think. We want people to individually think, so then when they're making decisions, they're not just swallowing and following. They're thinking, okay, I've decided, I've thought about this, and this is the decision I'm going to make. But for people just to start jumping on each other and calling people names, when we tell our little kids, don't call somebody names, you got grown folk people doing it. Like, there's a whole bunch of things you're not showing. Younger people, well, if they called her a name, I could call everybody names. But you tell them in school, don't call anybody a name. Don't be insulting. And you guys are being very insulting. I don't understand it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then for tell her that she's not invited to come back to the picnic or she can't come back to the community, I think is wrong because watch this. Listen to this. The Joe Biden and the crime bill, 1994. Horrendous. Joe Biden and his racist statements over the years, horrendous. Kamala Harris, his vice president, go back to when they were debating what she said about the busing and him. She didn't call him a racist, but she described him as a racist. But he gets to come back to the picnic. You want him to come to the picnic because he's telling you, even though I said these things, I've changed. Well, if someone of his persuasion will let him back in the picnic, why wouldn't we let Candace back in? If the bearer is those who don't like conservative views, why would you let Joe in and not let Candace in? Kamala described him as a racist and gave proof of that, about the busing and this, that, and the other. Go back and listen to his speech about the crime bill. He said, I don't care what you do with as far as healthcare, as far as drug addiction programs. I don't care what I want them locked up. Who you think they locked up? Y'all already know who it is. But you let him back in the door. Because politicians, no matter what they say about each other, the one thing they want to do is what? Get elected.
Mm-hmm.
So the enemies become friends if it can be used to get elected. If they can be used to get elected.
And sometimes it's funny just to remember how they're named. Just to remember that they're the right wing, the left wing of what? The right and left wing of the same doggone operational bird. So it's not like they're really fighting against each other 100%. It puts on a good show for the American people. It sure does. Like, I hate you so much with your stupid liberal views. But then you don't see behind closed doors, they over at the country club. Hey, you knocked that out the park. Let's go golfing again. Right. We don't see when they hang out. We don't.
We have to raise their taxes to fund our stuff. So I'm gonna let you create the crisis this time, and then we'll ask for taxpayers' money the next time, and then vice versa. It goes back and forth, and the rich get richer. If you investigate the wealth of Kamala Harris when she started compared to now, it's like night and day. What has happened different? What has happened different? She's closer to the source of the money. She'll get insider trading without being caught because she's closer to the source of the money. She can make calls and talk to the Fed chairman and that kind of thing. She know the policies before they become policies that dictate the economy. It's about getting elected and getting wealthy. Look at all the freshmen, liberal and conservative congressmen that came in, and look at them 4 years later. They look totally different, don't they? Their whole demeanor is different because it's all about the money. And to keep the money coming in, I have to have frictions. So you create the crime bill to lock up more people, and it locked up disproportionately more African Americans for minor drug offenses. And guess what? Out of that, you asked the taxpayers to build more jails. And then we had the rap being sold to our children that would put them in the mindset to be more violent, to be drug dealers. We glorified them, and then they ended up in the place that they had planned for them. And somebody thought of this plan, and they're all getting paid. They're all playing a role in the scheme of things of having more jails. Oh, well, to have more jails and have for-profit jails, we have to have more police. Okay, we need taxpayer money for that. We have to have more police. We need more prosecutors. We have to have tax money for that. And it fuels itself. Nobody's trying to really cure anything. They're trying to get it to a level that you can tolerate. Okay? They're trying to get you a level that you can say, it's not as bad as it used to be. But if you think about it, it's still progressing upward. Last year, there was 100 murders. This year, it's 110. Well, the goal is not to get to zero; it's to get back to 100. You see what I'm saying? It's never to cure the issue. And the average American person is in the middle of this, and they're being led by like sheep to the slaughter because they got the average everyday American, African American, Indian American, all the persuasions fighting each other as if there's really a moral standing ground for any one of them to stand on. You cannot legislate love. I'm going to say that again. You cannot legislate love, and you cannot legislate hate out of people. But the hate that's here is fictitious. It's a have and a have-nots.
Mm-hmm.
And you think it's a color based? That's the smoke. It's white against black, black against white, black against Asian, and the Hispanics. Okay, think about it. Was the policy to stay in Mexico good? Yes, it was. Now we're going to again. And you have everybody crossing that southern border, unless you live down there. But even the northern cities are being affected. Even the city I'm in is being affected by this. You see them standing on the side of the road, panhandling off of the highway entrances with children in their buggies, and you're wondering, how did they get there? Because there's nowhere to walk to get there. Well, somebody's dropping them off and picking them up. And all they do is stand there with a sign, and they come by to get the money, but they don't talk to you. Okay? This is setting things up because guess what? Just imagine if Donald Trump wins, there has to be some more money coming in to deport all these people up out of here. So guess what you're going to have to do? Hire more ICE agents. You're going to have to deputize more police officers now to round everybody up and ship them back to wherever you're going to ship them to. Wouldn't it have been more beneficial to leave them in Mexico? Of course it is, but there's a plan. There's always a plan to be in your pocket. And they get you fighting them for the peanuts and the crumbs that the ones who do good and the ones who get patted on the head get rewarded for. And let me ask y'all the question. Has the ghetto African American ghetto, has it really changed? You throw a few houses in a neighborhood, you throw up a community center, you throw up midnight basketball, which has been done a gazillion times, and nothing changes because they don't want nothing to change. They don't want nothing to change. So either I'm going to be out here fighting so-called for the people, and then eventually, if I get a little clout, I can join the system. I can go see if I fight the person when I was young. When you were younger, you fought for the people. You was on the street with the people. You gained some street credit, and then as you got older, you saw that wasn't making you no money, but you have clout. And then all of a sudden, you find yourself being put into the president of these organizations that's supposed to fight for freedom. But again, if freedom ever came, if liberty ever came, if love ever came, there wouldn't be a need for no organization. So do they really want to stop it? No, because they get their funding from the government and from the people. So you're telling me that I want to provide social services to the point that we cure the drug addiction programs? We really want them to work like we believe they can work and stop all of this recidivism to go to jail? No, we don't want it to really work. There's too many people getting paid. There's too many organizations where if they lost that focus and lost that friction, they wouldn't have anything to do. People got to wake up, you know. And you say, well, what's the answer? The answer is for the people to wake up and start really pushing them for results. That's what we need to do on every front. We need to push them for real, solid stuff we can touch, feel, smell, and hear results. We need to see it changing. We don't need to put a $1 million building in a depressed neighborhood and say it's some kind of center for this or center for that, and then 10 years from now there's weeds growing up in it because the incentive money is ran out to keep it open. And now you got this big building in the middle of the depressed neighborhoods, and it used to be this, and it used to be that, and it used to be this, and now there's nothing there. And anybody living in the urban area or even a suburban area, when you've seen it happen, you've seen the tax money spent on these strip malls and these big, huge malls, and now they don't even last 10 years, and they're desolate places. And this was done with your money, the TIF money, bringing in these businesses, and they bring them in for a little while. As soon as the money run out, they leave. And now with the violence going on in some of these neighborhoods, you got major stores, grocery stores leaving because they don't want to deal with the theft, no matter what neighborhood you're in. They just tired. They're gone. You know what's going to get them back? Your tax dollars. You're going to have to give them an incentive to come and put the stores back in place, the Targets, the Walmarts, and you're going to have to give them some tax incentives out of your pocket and say, don't pay any taxes for the next 10 years. And can you come please put a store back in our area? That's how to get back in your area. It's all a secular game of money. And it's just sad. What you think, T?
Yeah, I think sometimes it can get frustrating seeing the same stuff and then not knowing that sometimes there are people of melanin descent don't pay attention to those things and they just go along. Now, I'm not saying that's everyone, but there's certain people that you can say, hey, do you know such and such is bad from this time in Congress? Like, that was so long ago. I don't care about that. Oh, well, as long as the other person's not there. But you don't even have a reason why. You just dislike the person, not based on policy, not based on merit, just cause. I'm like, well, that's not a good reason.
You want to dismiss one person and say it's long ago, but you staying on to what hampers you to say that's the reason why you feel the way you do. And wasn't that long ago too? You see that picking and choosing like that. Like, okay, that was back then. That's what they saying to you. When you bring up stuff they don't want you to hear, that was back then. And if you say
like, let it go.
If you telling one to let it go, you got to tell everybody let it go. Mm-hmm. Can't you see that you being played, people? And I'm talking about black and white people. Y'all get played. Poor is poor. Okay? Yes, there's a lot of rich African Americans, but there's not many wealthy. You see, You can't tell me with all the billionaires and millionaires that we got, we can't do something as a collective. But they don't want, see, this is the thing. They don't want to. You have your entertainers being your philosophers. You have your entertainers, the people that entertain you, telling you how to live. You're not even using your intellects at all. You want to get your philosophy for life and your jokes from the same person. They call him a court jester back in the day. You think the king listened to the court jester? No, the court jester was supposed to entertain, and that's what they were supposed to do. But we have raised our court jesters to the level of our thinkers and our philosophers, and we are getting life lessons from them. And I'm not saying that you can't get anything from them, but we're not giving our academics a chance because they're debating against the jokey guy. So all the jokey guy got to do is say the joke in the middle while the academic is trying to explain something. Everybody laughs and thinks it's funny and gives credence to the joke and not to what the academic is trying to say. I'm saying we have room at the table for everybody, and we need to stop pitting this thing against each other because it's a smoke screen. It confuses people. You tell people to get education one minute, then you tell people about educated fools the next. In the same breath, you'll say you need to get education, and then in the same breath, you'll be downplaying education. What do you want our kids to get? And education comes in many different forms, but isn't education just on the strength of the word education? Isn't that important? Isn't that essential that we get an education in something? Why do we always have to think about being entertainers? We don't even do athletics like we used to. You don't see many African American boys playing baseball like they used to. It's either football or basketball. You see, we've been pigeonholed. Somebody has told somebody up the chain, if you can give them a check and just give them a check and they feel like they're getting it for free, then they'll vote for you. So let's give single moms a check. Let's pay off everybody's student loan. Let's do all of this stuff. And let's give it to them. But the understanding that money is not free. The taxpayer is going to have to pay for it. And then let me tell you, if you think the rich are going to pay for it, you're more blind than I think. The laws are set up for businesses that never pay much taxes as on the money they make, because what would be the point of them being in business? See, y'all forget that part. Nobody's breaking the laws of the IRS. They're using the laws to their advantage. That's on the books. Some of them stretch them, some of them don't. But trust me, compared to the amount of wealth that they're acquiring right now by keeping everybody at odds, and look at, we're on the verge of all these world wars. There's money in conflict. There's money in crises. Who was that said, don't let a good crisis go something? Who said that? That's out of Barack Obama's cabinet. Remember that?
I remember that statement.
Yeah. You know, take advantage of a good crisis. Somebody makes money when they go down and walk through Chicago and throw bricks through all the department stores down there. Somebody makes money to board that stuff up. Somebody makes money to install security apparatuses. Somebody makes money when there's a crisis, and it's not the people that will have to suffer the most through the crisis. Because when they remove the grocery store or the Walmart from your area, you suffer. Walmart is not going to suffer. And the only way you're going to get them back is give them free money where they can say, let them tear it up because we don't have to pay no taxes. So we can get them a new store and let it sit for a little while and kind of guard the stuff and keep it a little low and get that tax incentive to be there. As soon as the tax incentive runs out, we're up. And that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
They make the promises to stay, but you don't understand. They make the promises to stay while there's a tax incentive. Why it benefits them. You're just the consumer. And we're so fragmented that calling boycotts of stuff don't even work. We've tried that. It doesn't work like it used to. You know why it worked like we used to? Because we were all part of one neighborhood. We were all had to catch the bus. We all had to have these type of jobs, whereas we made a difference in their bottom line. And yes, we could make a difference in the bottom line, but we got so many that's making what they think is good money. They will never, ever stop serving themselves and look out for the collective. Just think if they really want to get African American participation in the sports and stuff, what if all the African American athletes decided to boycott basketball and football for half the season? Do you think that'd have an impact on their income? Yes, it would. Do you think they would come to the table and really talk about the disparity in our neighborhoods and stuff and want to help? Yes, they would. But they already know we're so fragmented, we're so disenfranchised with each other, and it is almost like we hate each other so much that they know we're not going to come together. They know we're not going to band together. Because if we can pick one or two to come out and pay them to keep a lid on the other ones, we'll do that. So they know, let's find the one that has influence and pay them to keep the lid on everything else. The conflict causes cash. There's no money in unity. There's no money in love. There's no money in figuring out how to solve your problems. Somebody asked a question to me, T, that I thought was very profound. An old man, friend of mine, said back in the day when he was picking cotton back in the day and going through what he had to go through down in the South, he said, we didn't have no therapist. We didn't have no life coach, but we knew how to survive and we knew how to make it. And as those who had come from that era, when they got a chance to get education, they took full advantage of it. And they got out and they made something of themselves. You know, read about the Thurgood Marshalls and all of these people, you know, that understood what it was education could do. But we're so far removed from that. Everybody needs a therapist. Everybody needs a life coach. Everybody needs to be told how to live with common sense, which is uncommon today. Common sense. You mean need to be told that you need to come out of the rain? Everybody's caught up into their nuanced nooks, and they're still not satisfied. We're at a point where we don't even know what a man and a woman is. We can't even define them. And you're scared to define them because you're going to be counseled if you don't define it as culture. Don't you realize that every culture that's been on top has failed because they lost their morality, they lost their footing, they lost it. And if God destroys Sodom and Gomorrah, the Roman Empire, the Assyrians, the Babylonians, America's going to have its downfall. Because we're Sodom and Gomorrah and all the other ones on steroids. Everybody focuses, hey, the Babylonians, all these world powers, study them. They became full of themselves, and America's that way too. The British Empire, the same way. It used to be that if you study history, the sun never set on the Union Jack, meaning that wherever the sun was rising, they had a colony. That little bitty British island had a colony all over the world. And they don't have one now. It's not like that now. They're not on top like they used to be.
Right.
Why? Because of immorality. Why? Because everybody does what is right in his own eye. Why? Because the goalposts and the standards keep moving from generation to generation. What's culturally accepted now wasn't culturally accepted then. But when you have a standard that doesn't move, it doesn't make a difference what culture does. I'm commanded to love you no matter what you do to me. I'm commanded to give you grace no matter what you do to me. I'm commanded to be humble no matter what you do to me. If everyone would take a chill pill and become humble and consider others more significant than themselves, these scriptures are in the Bible, y'all. So for those of you who don't, consider others more significant than yourselves. Think how good the world would be.
Mm-hmm.
Think how beautiful it would be if you can actually consider giving your enemy a cup of water and sacrificing your ego to serve somebody else. That your point for becoming wealthy and rich is so that you can serve even the more, so you can give even the more, so you can help even the more. The one thing about it, LDE, life, death, and eternity, you leaving up out of here. Listen to some of the statements that Steve Jobs made as he began to decline and lose his life. You know, his riches was not even important. He made some good quotes because his mortality was facing him. The problem is we have become such a society in America where we're only concerned about today. We're only concerned about today and maybe tomorrow, the fleshly things, the shiny things, the things that we can show off that will not go with us and will be given to somebody else once we leave. And not necessarily our children will be able to hang on to what we have obtained. What we value, our kids may not value. That nice car that you kept clean and you shined every Sunday and every Friday and you didn't let no rain fall on it, you pass on, your kids get it, and now it's heading to the junkyard. But you loved it. We need to be thinking about legacy of character and not keep falling for the okie doke that these politicians trying to give us. I don't care what side you vote. I don't really care. My thing is this. Neither side is good. They're both evil. They are both tricking the average person out of their morality, out of their love, out of their reasonable thinking. They want you to say either you all for me or you're not for me. The other side can't have a good idea at all. And we've done this in the African American community. When we know that conservative rich people go to the same country club as liberal rich people. They eat at the same restaurants. They don't go to the fancy restaurant and say, "Oh, I see a conservative over there, and I'm not going to eat here no more." Man, please,
Right.
come on, y'all. You can't be that stupid.
Mm.
And equality and fairness and freedom are an illusion. How can we be free when we have more people locked up than any nation in the world? How can we be free and we have more laws, and the purpose for laws is to tell you how you can't keep the law? We have more federal, state, local, municipal laws than any place on the planet. And we're free? It's an illusion. One side don't want you to say this, the other side don't want you to say that. Free speech is now becoming an illusion. Somebody determines what's free speech. And they say hate speech should not never be said because it makes people feel uncomfortable. You know what? Hate speech, as much as the reason why you can appreciate hate speech in one way is it helps you deal with the fact that there's those fighting for love. But they'll never stop. They just gonna go underground. It's not going to stop. Sometimes if you let the person say what they need to say, they'll prove how stupid they are. But when you put a lid on it, they're more focused on the fact you would not let them say what they want to say. They don't even need to say their position anymore. Just the fact that you won't let them talk. And we want to censor our own African American people against each other.
Mm. Sad.
Yeah, it don't make no sense to me. So when I heard the thing with Candace and Rowan, I was like, you know what? I wish this would stop. I wish this would stop. Like I say, I just didn't like him insulting her like that.
Well, I didn't like any of it either because it wasn't just him, right?
Right.
There were a lot of African American women on there, those that have the higher education, that were doing it. And I was looking like, huh. But I would think that you, of a person of a high caliber standard of education and academia, you wouldn't say that. But to hear out of an older woman's mouth that you're supposed to teach the younger women, she's a nitwit. She's a lightweight. Well, if she doesn't understand something, or maybe she got it wrong in certain areas, isn't that where you would teach and show and say, hey, let my sister know she's wrong on this issue. But instead of doing that and reaching out and extending to talk to or discuss, no, we just go down to the name calling, to the basis of you're a nitwit, you're a whole loser, an idiot. Just why are we even talking about her? Well, because there's something to talk about. And if you disagree with what she's saying, why would you come to the table and have a discussion instead of calling her names? Why would you do that? That doesn't seem very helpful at all.
Now think about this. You're calling her a nitwit. I'm willing to bet you know that somebody else is calling you a nitwit.
Right.
Do you think you're without being called a nitwit? I can guarantee you there's somebody else that is calling you a nitwit. Okay? When you use those disparaging words like that, those base words like that come out of feelings and not thought processes, somebody else is calling you that. And then what we found out lately is some of these same ones that's calling black, they've been paid off. Again, they're the gatekeepers. Keep the lid on them.
Keep them in line.
Keep them in line. We'll pay you to keep them in line. And
that doesn't normally work.
Pretend like you on their side, but you know you just want. See, we can be bought. That's our problem. Too many of them can be bought. And and the average guy, the average dude, we know it because we see it every day. We listen to them every day. You've been bought. You ain't coming strong like you used to. Before you became chief executive at the social service thing, you used to come strong for the community. Now you in that slot and you getting a paycheck every month, every week, and you making some decent money. You don't come as strong. You try. You some reason or other. You're not as boisterous as you used to be. You willing to compromise. You willing to let them into the picnic. You willing to let them come to the family reunion and give their speech to your family. But someone who's part of the family that you disagree with, they can't come. Because the people who paid you off don't want them there.
And how many times, Pastor Jay, have we seen that across multiple industries in multiple circles, not just in government and like how we're talking about these things politically. Let me get my word right. We also see it we've seen it in the entertainment where we heard Monique and Steve Harvey talking about it when he said this is about the money game. And she says before the money game was the integrity game. What about that? What about having integrity? I don't care about that. It's about money for me. So you don't have any integrity.
When Monique said what she said back when she said it, all these people came against her, and now we hear more blacks and the actresses and actors talking about the disparity in income.
And the very thing that she was talking about, and everybody was doing the same thing they're kind of doing to Candace Owens, throwing her under the bus. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She's making this stuff up.
She's a nitwit. She's just a mad, angry black woman.
Right. She's hard to work with because she ain't got no common sense, no good mind.
And because her husband stands up for her, okay. And now you crying? And you crying?
But you didn't come to her aid when she was saying the same thing?
Steve Harvey, it happened to you too. They kicked you out when you tried to flex.
After he told her the very thing, he said, you can't just come here and do everything we want to do. But then you did the same thing, and then you didn't even take your own advice.
And they did the same thing.
Right. I was like, okay.
Go over to YouTube and see if you can make the same amount of money. Okay. Just do your radio show. You ain't seen him in acting or nothing since he flexed.
Right.
Okay. So Monique wasn't too crazy. Like I said, everybody coming out now. But I remember people came against you.
Mm-hmm.
And then the ones who just tell the real deal, I'm cool with my pay. Yeah, there's always gonna be some cool with their pay. And you know the ones who saying that, I'm not saying they're not cool. They're just playing the game. It's a game, it's a system. You're not gonna change the system unless the system is impacted by money.
Mm-hmm.
The system is immoral. The system is mammon. And
And
you're
we
not
know
gonna
who runs that
change it.
system.
Yeah, you're not gonna hurt the system if the system doesn't
Mm-hmm.
play by the same rules you do.
Yep.
If you're gonna play the fool, don't be a fool. Don't act like you. It's many times that I've been in situations where it's like, you know, you go in all green and you like, I'm gonna make it better, I'm gonna do better, I'm gonna do better. And you find the system is so intricate, so many different moving parts that if you want to stay in the system, you're gonna have to get with the program or get out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have to get with the program or get out of the way. They're not gonna let you be militant in their system. They will marginalize you in their system and you'll never be promoted. You'll quit before the system quits. And you could be standing on the high moral ground, but this is not a system of morality. This is a system that has perpetuated itself for centuries and eons. And you're not going to come in here with your high moral standards and change anything.
Right.
I don't care what you do. Has anything really changed since Jesse was the potentate elect? Nope. Then we had Al Sharpton. Has anything changed? Nope. Not really. And whoever they got next, is it going to change? No, because it's a system. And see what happens with those guys is they start off very sincere, but eventually the system comes to you and say, I tell you what, you have a lot, like I said, you have a lot of influence. They be like, yeah. It's a little meeting, they come together. And they sit down. And the person who's the representative for the system say, well, we appreciate what you're doing. We like what you're doing. But you know what? What we're going to do is we're going to support what you're doing and give you this amount of money. And all we ask is just keep them in line. And they say, what you mean? Well, you know, you could say everything you've been saying, but you know, let us know if it's going to disrupt the system. And they see that, and then they show you an envelope or they sign a number over to you and say, you get paid this kind of money to keep them in line. And you go, okay. Okay. And then you go thinking you can go back and do what you used to do. You've been bought.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes out as because what you do is you think they told you could keep saying what you're saying. No, they not, and they paying you. So then you get the phone call. No, we appreciate what you said, but don't say that no more. Don't say that no more. But see, you got used to living off that money now. So now what you gonna do? Stand up for your morals and your rights and say, I'd rather go back to being poor and struggling with the people? Or you gonna say, well, okay. Your kids in private school, you driving nicer cars now. You wearing custom made suits.
Can travel all over the world now.
You got your teeth fixed on. You got your new haircut. You look totally different than when you did when you was with the people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not criticizing you, but let's be real. You decided to sell out, and again, I'm not blaming you for doing that. But let's be honest with the people. I would like one of them so-called leaders that's up before the people just come on, say it. They're waiting for the opportunity because what they want to do is prove to the system that they have control over a group of people. And if I can prove that I have that control, the system's going to come offer me something. I want y'all to think about that. The system is going to say, hey, come here, let me talk to you. And the system's going to offer you something that if you don't have any morals, you're going to take it. you're going to take it. The gatekeeper's going to make sure you take it. They already know your price. They already know how you living, and they know you want more. But you can't get more being for the people. They don't have the money to get you more, but we do. Think about it, T. If every African American walked off their job for 24 hours, no matter what position they held, or any race, any cultural, any race, just walked off their job for 24 hours, what you think will happen? They're gonna try to find a person that can talk to them.
Mm-hmm. Because we need them back. We need them back to work. Where'd they go? Yeah.
Yeah. We need them back. You know, every inner city, every suburban city, all the cities who have African Americans that buy hair care products, and it's kind of interesting, and I'm sure other communities are going through this. Whereas the chicken, the rice, our food, it's not made by us. It's made by other nationalities. The Arabs, the Pakistanis, the Indians, the Orientals. In the city I live in, 2 miles of it. And if you're in St. Louis, you know what I'm talking about. In U City, you started Midland all the way down to 170. 2 miles of majority black neighborhood, but most of the businesses are Oriental. All the hair care places, there's not an African American hair care place. We may have one barbershop and one beauty shop, but the rest of the 6 or 7 shops are all owned by somebody else. Even the ice cream, the Baskin Robbins ice cream is owned by somebody else. And the poor 7-Eleven that we used to have, when it's minority or when it's Oriental owned or Asian owned or Indian owned, it does well. It was turned over to an African American lady. It's closed in 6 months.
Mm.
It's a kind of joke running that they cook fried chicken better than we do. Now that's when you know you've been appropriated. When the number one fried chicken is the chop suey place, you know, that's when you know. That's when you know. But again, that friction is always there.
Yeah, and it doesn't.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Pastor Jay.
Go ahead.
I said it doesn't help anyone. The friction, it never helps. It always, like you were saying, it keeps people down. It keeps people in bondage. It keeps people beholden to, of course, the system or others. And how is that to live? And all the time that I've been watching all this stuff, I've never liked how the system does what it does, because we have people that are actually puppets of the system. They're puppets of the system. The system's going to dominate them eventually too, where they think, well, I've done my part. I got this money and I think I can change things over because I know the system, and the system slams them because they can't get over the system. But to be unified is way better, but nobody wants to come together. Everybody has their nuances, and that keeps us divided, that keeps that division, and we are better together than separate, but nobody wants to come together for all the nuances of this person not liking that person for whatever reason. There's like a plethora, but it never makes sense. But sometime we should come together. Now I say should, does that mean it's going to happen? Not necessarily at all.
Because that's utopia.
Exactly, that's the utopian idea.
We would all have to agree that we're going to focus, no matter what our differences, on this one cause.
Mm-hmm.
And now you got to ask is, now watch this. We agree that we should focus on the one cause, but you know the next thing that I see, whose name going to be on the marquee?
Exactly. Who's going to be in charge?
Who's going to be in charge? See, they know us.
They do.
What church is going to be on the marquee?
How many members you got?
It's kind of funny when we do stuff with our church, Walking True Christian Fellowship Church. When we come alongside another church, those who deal with me know not to even ask me because I don't care. Let's just put Jesus on the marquee.
Exactly.
The one we all supposed to be serving. Let's just put him on the marquee. But no, that's not good enough. We want our church. Okay, go ahead.
If that
But
makes
for
you
me,
feel
it's about the
better.
ministry. It ain't about the marquee.
Right, exactly.
You know, it ain't about whose name up in lights. It's that we
Mm-hmm.
all come together for the common cause. But see, they know that even in the religious realm, that thing of systematic division is there
Mm-hmm.
because egos are in place and hierarchies in place, and you need to know Bishop so and so from across town, and they put on their pants one leg at a time, just like you do.
Yep. It's even within our churches, and I think it's so interesting to look at that because not only do we have all different types of denominations for whatever reason they exist, but even within those specific denominations, there's a certain, like you said, there's a certain level of hierarchy, and you have to respect that system of the way things are done.
Yeah, and if you don't respect the way they are done, then God's mad at you and
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna punish you.
Right, and now
We're
you're
not,
under a
and I don't even want to
curse.
go down that road. I don't even want to deal with that today. But yeah, people are in bondage. They're hold on. They're in bondage to the secular system and the culture. They're bondage in church. So where's the freedom gonna ever come?
Exactly.
When is the freedom gonna ever
Exactly.
come? When you
Yeah.
be able to see it and break away from it and say, I'm not participating in it. As
Yeah.
little
Where's
as
the
possible.
liberty? Yeah.
I'm in this world and I'm not of this world. And
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna have to live a life, but you're gonna have to walk away from some things because it goes against your moral character. Now, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
telling you to let your family starve for no moral character. That's dumb.
That don't make no good
See, that's
sense
what I'm
now.
saying.
Come
Like I said,
on.
we take things to the extreme. We don't know how to
It's
talk.
true. Yeah.
We don't know how to talk in the middle of common sense.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if somebody don't agree with us, we're gonna gaslight them with an extreme thing out of their mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going to say the extreme thing. We're going to justify our anger by saying, "Well, you mean this?" I didn't remember this conversation. I didn't say that.
Yes, I remember the
Okay, we're not going to go there. I didn't say that. You mean I'm going to not be able to? I didn't say nothing about that. You asked me, and I told you why. And because why didn't fit within your framework, you got to run to something I ain't even talking about.
conversation. See, and I can understand me, right? I'll just put me. I don't know about anybody else, but there's a level of a little bit of emotion that doesn't need to be in a conversation. That's just matter of fact. This is
Especially when
what
you
it
ask the
is.
question.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
you ask the question, the person gives an honest answer, not you and your feelings.
Right.
That's
That
what they're
doesn't need to
counting
be
on.
there.
They're
And
counting on you always being emotionally tied to answers.
in your feelings all the time.
And if you're always in your feelings, you're going to always be divided from the next person because the next person doesn't feel like you feel. But if we all start thinking a little bit, we can deal with some facts. And even if we disagree, it's not to the point where we call each other names.
Right, because it's not necessary. It's
It's not
not.
necessary. You know
Right.
what? The law of non-contradiction says on a subject matter, we both can't be right if we're oppositely opposed. But we can't do one could be wrong, one could be right, or we both can be wrong. And see, that's the part that people, if you're a thinking person, you know the law of non-contradiction, you will understand. Maybe you and I have a point of view about a certain subject, and guess what? We could both be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
A third person come in and give us enlightenment, but we don't leave no room for that because we're in our emotions. We are in our emotions. We don't leave any room for that kind of dialogue because we're in our emotions. People wake up, brothers and sisters wake up. Why is the number one sector for African Americans in YouTube is the beef sector, BEEF sector. You actually spend most of your time on YouTube and on Facebook looking at people argue about nonsensical stuff. That's the number one sector is the beef sector. Not positivity, not education, not chemistry. You know, the Chinese say, we love y'all to have TikTok because y'all do foolish stuff all day. But TikTok in the country that it comes from, we don't let our children watch it like that. All they see is math and science and stuff that is uplifting and educational. We don't let them see y'all's foolishness. There's something to that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
There's something to that. The country that it comes from doesn't let them see the American foolishness.
But
See,
yeah.
and y'all don't want to ban TikTok because your whole social dealing with people is through your keyboard. You work your thumbs more than you work your brain. You work your thumbs more than you work your conversational skills. People are losing the ability to have a conversation with each other and reason with each other. Everybody's arguing with each other
Mm-hmm.
because everybody's in their feelings and everybody thinks they're right because they feel that way. Let me tell you something, come a little closer. Just because you feel that way don't mean it's right. And you don't need my validation at all because I sure don't need yours. Be who you are and validate yourself. Quit looking for validation outside of yourself. Because guess what? There's always going to be somebody who thinks that think you're crap, no matter how good you are. And you can't let those people who think you crap and then that you think you're not worthy to rule your life. You know, it's sad to see
Mm-hmm.
friction. Teenagers committing suicide because they're getting online and these online bullies and gangsters are getting into their head with all this craziness and putting them down. And next thing you know, a mother or father has to walk into a room with a child who's hanging because of online communications with somebody they don't even know. So now we got to create a thing for that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Everything is create something that costs the American taxpayers some more money. Do they really want the suicide rate to go down so we can get rid of all these gurus and life coaches, psychiatrists that you're paying for? Of course they don't. They want you to be as manic, depressed, and as schizophrenic as you can possibly be. They not trying to set you free. They want you to come back every week, think about it, and rehash what's disturbing you when you was 12 every week. And you pay to tell that story every week. And then they ask you how your week going. And then how somehow or another, if you say something went bad in your week, then they can relate it way back to what you first came in and said. You're looping it every week and you don't even know it. And they're skillful at doing it.
Mm-hmm.
They're skillful at you never being free.
But and I think you talked about that too. And I had one of those sessions today that was trying to take it back. And I said, no, all that stuff, I don't want to continue to go through that. I'm so glad I'm going to be done with it. But all these things that are supposed to help you and they continue to push the old narrative that you're trying to get over it and they're trying to steadily keep bringing it up so that you have to go through the same emotional turmoil as when you were first in that incident. It drudges up all of that. Then the person has these nightmares or the anxiety or the depression. Why? Because you're having to rehash the very incident or the very situation that you're trying to get over. But if they keep having you do it, you're not going to get over it because that same emotional hurt, pain, whatever that was that you went through, they're bringing back up. So of course you're not You're not going to get over it because you're not closing that wound. You're not getting time to heal from that thing because you keep opening it up. And it's just festering over and over again. You keep opening it up. It's kind of gross. Just let it heal so you can naturally, emotionally get rid of it. It's not going to always go all the way away. But if you just let it go and heal from it properly, then you won't have to rehash it and you won't even have to deal with it like that and allow someone to keep really emotionally messing with you with it.
Right. And what if it drives you into, what about this? Letting the things that negative that happen to your life drive you to run you towards the positive. You have to remember everything is stimulus. It's equal, good or bad. That's what your decision. That's your choice. You have your choice to decide whether this thing happened to me is going to be a thing that propels me or hold me back. That's your choice. And what I see from our ancestors, what they use the negative to propel them forward into the positive. Yes, the negative is still there. I remember when my grandmother was a domestic. Okay, so that story, that movie, my grandmother was that. But guess what she wanted? My mother told me she used to have to wash sheets and stuff, and that's when you had to hang them outside, and the wind blow them down. You had to start all over again. Or if a storm come, you got to start all over again. And my mother say in the summertime she would go help her mom do that. And what my mom swore is she was gonna get an education so she wouldn't have to do that, and she could help her mom. Guess what my mom did? Take that negative experience and handled her business.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's the power that you have. You can take that thing that was horrible in your life, and let's say you had a horrible father or a horrible mother. You can take that thing and you say, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
I'm going to be I'm going to do the opposite of what my parents did so I can be a better parent. You don't have to be the same. And see, that's what they trick you with. You're going to end up being the same. You don't have to be. We have too many stories of children and men and women coming out of their situations and doing great things from horrible situations. You know why? Because at some point they decided they're going to make a move.
And they're going to be different.
Mm-hmm. But a lot of times you're a coach to say, what you went through, you just need to keep working through. So the cookie that you didn't get that fell off the table that your sister picked up and ate, you still talking about you hate your sister because of that, and y'all 70 years old.
Let it go.
I know some people that's carrying stuff that they can't even remember why. They're just carrying it. Because again, remember, we lead into this. You get a lot of attention when you are walking like that. People feel sorry for you when you walk into victim mode all the time. People rally around you because if you get close to being a victor versus a victim, guess what? At that point of becoming victorious, you're accountable and responsible for your next step into the destiny of your life. You're no longer the victim, you're the victor. And now I'm going to step into territory I've never been in. And you know what? When you step into the accountability for what happens next in your life, along with God, and be responsible for your own decisions, at that point, it's on you. And see, you more comfortable blaming somebody else. Mm-hmm. Now that was free. You paying $75 an hour for somebody to tell you that?
That was free.
That was free. The minute you become a victor, you're accountable and responsible for what happens next. And you need to be committed to your own growth. You validate you and you move forward, trusting God and trusting in yourself and walking by faith and not have to know every little thing that's going to happen next. Get out here and try something new. If you fail, it's not failure. It's only failure if you don't get up and do something else.
And try. Nothing wrong. Yeah. And I think when we go ahead, Pastor Jay.
No, go ahead.
I said I know how many times that you've said that too, and about failure, and that's one of the things when people don't want to walk out by faith because they're scared of the next step, because they're uncertain, they're unsure, they don't know what's next. But you got to go out there and extend yourself and try. How will you know what you're capable of doing or not doing if you don't take that next step? That has to be something that you try. But for you to be like a parked car, one of my analogies, because I know you love your cars, if you're not moving, God's not about to move a parked car. You got to be going in some direction. But a parked car just not moving, you're not going nowhere. I just stay right here and nothing bad will happen. I won't fail or I won't succeed because I'm going to stay. That's not how life works. And you can't be just staying put, because life is going to change and you got to move. The Bible says you got to go. So you can't just stay put.
Yeah. And the Bible even tells you the philosophy of be the hot or cold, but being in neutral is not going to help you.
Yeah, either that's not a good space. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know, a person who sits in neutral and waits, either you catching or you pitching. And I think you would rather pitch sometime.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is we've created a society, again, this all plays into the system of everybody's great. And you know that's a lie. You know, we started this thing with No Child Left Behind. But the problem is that the children that are really gifted in whatever they are, they're not being pushed. They're being told, tamp down your greatness and be mediocre, because we don't want to upset the ones who not trying. So what happens is you've been told these children that they great, they awesome, they can be anything they want to be. I've had some of the most ridiculous conversations with some 20 and 30-year-olds. I had a guy tell me one time that he wanted to play football professionally. And I looked at him and when he was in his teens, and I said, but you don't even play football on the street. But I want to play football so I can make some money. Excuse me? You're not even going to school to get a scholarship to what?
How's that working? How's that going to work?
Just complete disconnected. But the society tells them they can be anything they want to be.
You can be anything they want to be, right?
You can be anything you train yourself to be.
Prepare
anything
for.
You sacrifice for on the front end to receive the rewards on the back end, back to seeds, weeds, and flowers. You got to plant the seed, to cultivate the seed, to grow the seed into the plant that it's supposed to be. And depend on how you cultivate it, when it's in the ground, when it's being raked on and rained on and sun on, will determine how much fruit it has. But when you just say, I'm just going to be what I'm going to be just because I'm here and I'm old everything because I'm breathing, that's why you have these kids when they become in their 20s and their 30s. They go to jobs and they've been told they're great. Their parents have told them they're great, and they ain't as great as they think they are. And they get in the competitive world where they got to compete. There is no more welfare. There is no more handouts. There is nobody telling them great. But that's what they've been told. You put them in a situation where they get rejected, and them the ones that go out and get their gun out the car, and kill everybody in the place because somebody told them no.
And they fell apart.
Now, what does that fuel? The gun system, the gun laws, the jails, the social service system. You see, it started all back when you said everybody's told that they're great, no matter if they're not great. See, it starts back and the system perpetuates itself. The system perpetuates itself. It's like, I'm just hoping people see this. Because again, I deal with young men and women, and Lord knows they are bright in some ways, but man, common sense. They want a job that's fun. I hear this word fun a lot. Wow, where'd they get that from? Fun. I want a job that's fun. Okay, well then you need to really educate yourself to have a career that's fun. And they won't work unless it's fun. Unless it's amusement park to them, they don't want to do it. But they want to drive a Bentley. The disconnect between the reality and that's real and the fantasy that's in their mind. They're teaching our kids don't even write anymore. You better teach your children how to write, because guess what? It's going to come back. And the kids that don't know how to write going to be at a disadvantage. You got children who's 25, 30 years old, don't even know how to fill out a check. Whatever they do, even transferring money has to be on their phone. If it's not on their phone, they don't know what to do. They don't know how to do it. They don't know how to make change. You see how the system perpetuates dummies? So they can get locked up. So eventually the society that's progressing can say, you're not fit for society, and the society has helped make you this way. Why? Because we're all at odds with each other. Black against white, rich against poor, Asian against Hispanic, Hispanic against black, Hispanic against white. I mean, it's just crazy. And there's only one race, the human race. An evil man has created all of these divisions. Evil men have done this to us. So, like I said, it was an eye-opener with my brother and my sister and the other ones, that when I start really listening to the visceral hate that they have towards Miss Owens. And again, I don't agree with everything she says, but does she deserve that kind of smoke? When you can go back a couple of years and listen to somebody that actually says, we want all you black folks locked up, and you want him to be your president today? Only thing is, he got old and he want to get elected. Do you really think he's changed at heart? Come on now. Do you really think that? Remember, he went on one of the African-American shows and said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
Yep.
Y'all took that and laughed at it. That ain't funny.
Mm-hmm.
What he's telling you is, I know y'all, and I'm telling you, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. And y'all giggled that away. And the fact that you giggled it away, he didn't have to deal with that. Yeah, there was a few little rumblings of outrage, but it didn't stop you because you did vote for him. And because you vote for him, guess what? You're black.
Mm-mm.
Your blackness has
Mm-mm.
been defined by voting for Joe Biden. And your
Mm-mm.
and becoming a handkerchief head is defined by voting for Trump.
Mm-mm.
So both of them are defining who you are. You can't be yes, you can. You can't be that foolish. You give one a pass and let the other one go because you believe the one that you give the pass to is serving your interest. See, you playing into the system. The system got you. President Trump said something crazy, talking about he can do what he want to do and stand in the middle of Pennsylvania Avenue and kill somebody. To me, that's just as crazy as saying if you ain't black, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Both of them tried you. And both those statements were totally, utterly ridiculous, and neither one of them clowns deserve our vote. But that's what we stuck with. God gives you what you need. In America, you just don't know what's really going on. Spiritually, you should know what's going on. Revival, man. This is the great falling away. What are you talking about? God is not going to lead this world without a witness, and there's a few of us witnesses out here, and we screaming at the top of our lungs. You
But
can't
nobody's
serve.
listening.
Can't, yeah, nobody's listening. Everybody want to listen to the ones, the America's pastor. Think about this. There's nowhere in the Bible where it told somebody that was a man or woman of God that they were that country's pastor or prophet. You work for God, not America. See, just the fact they get to label you that lets me know you're not God's person. You are the culture's pastor. You are the culture's clergy. You are the culture. Jesus was as anti-culture as anything. He set the culture on fire. And the culture plus the religious sect killed him, Jew and Gentile. So then what they did was form a whole religion based on culture, Roman Catholic. Now think about this, and it was based upon Peter. I asked somebody this question: if Peter was the first pope, the last time I checked, Peter was a fisherman, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was a fisherman from Galilee, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when did Peter get accepted as a Roman? Peter did not have Roman citizenship. Just think about that. Peter did not have Roman citizenship. The only apostle that had Roman citizenship that we know of, for sure, is Paul.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't call Paul a Roman Christian. See, I wish my people would wake up and read their book, because we've been put in a system that's taking advantage of us all the way around. Healthcare system, financial system, all of this. And as long as you think you can legislate people into liking and loving each other, that's not going to happen. You can't legislate the hate out of them, and you can't legislate to love them. It has to be an inside out change. You can't have external laws that prick the conscience. All the external laws that we have prove that we don't have the ability to govern ourselves accordingly. Why do you need a stop sign at a four-way stop when you know cars are coming from all directions? Because guess what? No one wants to stop because where they're going is important. Why do you need don't walk on my grass sign? And I did experiment one time. I put a no walking on my grass sign out there, and guess what? They start walking on the grass. I removed the sign, they stopped. Even the dogs pooped more when I had the sign. It's like, man, can dogs read the sign? I'm just being silly. But yeah, just pay attention. So yeah, I guess we done with our rant. We just want people.
Are we done with our rant?
I guess. We'll get this StreamYard thing worked out with the intros and everything.
Yeah, we will.
Monday morning conversation held on Friday.
Right, Monday, Friday conversation.
Right. So all right. So anything else you want to discuss, T?
Yeah, but we can do it at another juncture. We just tore this conversation up.
Okay. Well, you go ahead and close us out. And
all right, I will do just that. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Pastor Jay and myself, T. Drake, listening to our Monday morning conversations and Friday conversations. I always want to encourage you guys to just tune into what he's doing in the Walk of Truth Radio Network. He's got great stuff over there. So I hope that you guys will tune in. And of course, my podcast is God's gift through his word, as you can clearly know. And I want you to remember to be blessed, motivated, and always inspired to do what the Lord lays on your heart. And Pastor Jay says, and take it away.
I always want you to be encouraged, blessed, and at peace. And always remember to walk in truth. And please go over and check out the Walk in Truth Radio Network YouTube page. And check out our shorts and our Bible studies and everything that we do over there. And again, we just appreciate you coming and listening to us. I'm sorry, we're not gonna have no beef. We're not gonna do it. I ain't gonna be talking. We ain't gonna be talking about our stuff. We're gonna talk about things that we believe is important for everybody. So yeah, thank you guys for listening, and hopefully and share it with somebody. And we'll let you know when we're coming on again.
Absolutely, we will. So you guys take care and have a blessed day. Bye now.
See you later. Peace.